300 miles away, in the large, square, windowless room that served as mission control for Project Scoop, Lieutenant Edgar Comro sat with his feet on his desk and a stack of scientific journal articles before him. Comro was serving as control officer for the night. It was a duty he filled once a month, directing the evening operations of the skeleton crew of 12. Tonight, the crew was monitoring the progress and reports of the van coded Caper 1, now making its way across the Arizona desert. Comro disliked this job. The room was gray and lighted with fluorescent lights. The tone was sparsely utilitarian, and Comro found it unpleasant. He never came to mission control except during a launch, when the atmosphere was different. Then the room was filled with busy technicians, each at work on a single complex task, each tense with a peculiar cold anticipation that precedes any spacecraft launch. But nights were dull. Nothing ever happened at night. Comro took advantage of the time and used it to catch up on reading. By profession, he was a cardiovascular physiologist, with special interest in stresses induced at high G accelerations. Tonight, Comro was reviewing a journal article titled Stoichiometrics of Oxygen Carrying Capacity and Diffusion Gradients with Increased Arterial Gas Tensions. He found it slow reading and only moderately interesting. Thus, he was willing to be interrupted when the overhead loudspeaker, which carried the voice transmission from the van of Sean and Crane, clicked on. Sean said, "This is Caper 1 to Vandeldecker, Caper 1 to Vandeldecker. Are you reading? Over." Comro, feeling amused, replied that he was indeed reading. "We're about to enter the town of Piedmont and recover the satellite." Very good, Caper 1. Leave your radio open." "Roger." This was a regulation of the recovery technique, as outlined in the Systems Rules Manual of Project Scoop. The SRM was a thick, gray paperback that sat at one corner of Comro's desk, where he could refer to it easily. Comro knew that conversation between van and base was taped and later became part of the permanent project file. But he had never understood any good reason for this. In fact, it had always seemed to him a straightforward proposition. The van went out, got the capsule, and came back. He shrugged and returned to his paper on gas tensions, only half listening to Sean's voice as it said, "We are now inside the town. We've just passed a gas station and a motel. All quiet here. There's no sign of life. The signals from the satellite are stronger. There's a church half a block ahead. There are no lights or activity of any kind." Comro put his journal down. The strained quality of Sean's voice was unmistakable. Normally, Comro would have been amused at the thought of two grown men made jittery by entering a small, sleepy desert town. But he knew Sean personally, and he knew that Sean, whatever other virtues he might have, utterly lacked an imagination. Sean could fall asleep in a horror movie. He was that kind of man. Comro began to listen. Over the crackling static, he heard the rumbling of the van engine, and he heard the two men in the van talking quietly. Sean. "Pretty quiet around here." Crane. "Yes, sir." There was a pause. Crane. "Sir?" Sean. "Yes." Crane. "Did you see that?" Sean. "See what?" Crane. "Back there, on the sidewalk. It looked like a body." Sean. "You're imagining things." Another pause, and then Comro heard the van come to a halt, brakes squealing. Sean. "Jesus." Crane.